Hello, everybody. Now, welcome to this training video for Heritage Party coordinators and candidates. And particularly, this is focused on the local elections in England, which are going to take place on the 1st of May 2025. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is share the screen and put up what should be a map of the places where there are local elections in May. And you can see here they are the counties of England. Most of the counties of England have scheduled elections, not all of them, but from Kent, Sussex, Hampshire, I won't name them all, Lincolnshire here, Norfolk, Shropshire, in this main area in the south of England, the Midlands, also Devon, Cornwall, Lancashire, County Durham and Northumberland. And there's a couple of smaller unitary authorities there, Doncaster here, and then there's Thurrock, which is in Essex, but it's a unitary authority, has got elections as well. So those are the places where we want to stand candidates, and we are all obviously looking and recruiting looking for recruiting candidates to stand. And the Heritage Party will stand as many candidates as we can. Look at the colours there. A lot of blue, some red, some yellow, a little bit of green. Tory, Labour, Lib Dem, Green. They are a disaster. They push the woke agenda. They push the climate agenda. They ruin our towns and cities and villages. They support massive development on greenfield sites. They turn farmland into solar panels and wind turbines. They're wrecking and ruining everything all over the country. So we need a change. And the Heritage Party has been in existence for nearly 5 years now. I set it up in 2020, and we will protect and defend our heritage, which is our beautiful towns and cities, our farmland, our countryside, and just simply use common sense to run our local councils for the benefit of the people without wasting huge amounts of money on things which are useless. So, I've mentioned that many times, but on to the main thing I want to share here. So these are obviously the places where the individual divisions can be seen on this map. It doesn't show the outlines of the counties, as I said, but you can make them out. If you want to stand, you need to know which county or which authority you're standing in, and you need to know which division or ward you're standing in. So, for example, say you're standing up here. I guess I don't know what that one's called. Something in North Devon. Maybe this one, Barnstaple. So, if you want to stand in Barnstaple, you need to know the name of the ward in Barnstaple, and then you also need to know that you're standing for Devon County Council, for example. If you want to stand in Chichester South. I just picked that because that's where our registered office is, and I've filled in the forms. Hypothetically, you'll see later for someone standing in Chichester South, that's the division of West Sussex, which is there. So, but you need to know your county, whether it's Lincolnshire, Lancashire, whatever, and the name of the division or ward you're going to be standing in order to fill in the nomination forms which need to be handed into the council sometime at the end of March in what's called the nomination window, which is 4 to 5 weeks before the actual elections. The actual election this year is on the 1st of May, so the nomination period to hand in your nomination forms to the council and get on the ballot paper will be towards the end of March. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen and then share another one now. So hopefully up here you will see this document, which is a document that I give out to Heritage Party members who are standing to be candidates and who are coordinators. And this is just a guide to prepare for the local elections in 2025 and also how to fill in the nomination forms. And there's another section afterwards on campaigning, but I'm not going to go through that today. So if you are thinking of standing for an election, there are certain things to do now. As I said, you need to know what county, district, or borough you're standing in. Thurrock, Doncaster, West Sussex, Devon, etc., and the divisional ward. there'll be smaller things which not many people will have heard of outside the areas you're in. You need to print out the nomination pack, which I'll go through in a minute. And some people, you need some extra people to help you fill it out because you need two people to nominate you, one person to be a witness, and one person to sign for you from the Heritage Party to say you're a Heritage Party candidate. Contact your local council's election office. Let them know you'll be standing for the Heritage Party. So it's always good to do that to inform your local election office that you will be standing. One, so they know. They like to know who's going to be standing in advance so they can prepare. And also, it helps you because you know who to contact. You find out the personnel in there and the people that you need to deal with in order to hand your forms in to make an appointment and anything else you need from the electoral office. So that's a good thing to do. You can do that now, even though I'm making this in January, you can do that anytime before the nomination papers have to be handed in. Now, your electoral office also holds the electoral roll, and you need that in order to be able to fill in the forms as well, because as you'll see, later on, you need two nominators and you need to know their electoral numbers on the electoral register to be able to fill in the forms. So you need to get your electoral office to help you with that. Either they can give you the electoral roll, or sometimes they will actually just look up the two numbers that you need and give them to you, which means that you don't need to look it up on the roll. Then you need to be in touch with your local Heritage Party DNO. DNO stands for Deputy Nominating Officer. And we have one deputy nominating officer in most counties in England. If there's a county where there isn't one, then either myself or Madeline can sign that for you because I'm a deputy nominating officer for the whole country, and Madeline is for Great Britain as well. Get a high quality photo. If you want to make leaflets or have any social media, or especially when all the nominations are in and when we know who the candidates are, often the local papers want to do a summary of all the candidates standing. So you need a high quality photo of yourself, a headshot, not a shot where you're standing in the distance and your head is a little pin on a massive frame. Your head should take up the majority of the shot, the head and shoulders, on a plain background or a green background, countryside background, not in a pub, not wearing glasses, not wearing a hat, not with your arms around two other people, just yourself and your head, professionally done, so that you can have it to just send to local newspapers if they request it from you. And you can get that done now, so you don't need to wait. It's better to do it now so you've got a good photograph of yourself for any promotional material or any newspaper articles about candidates all ready to go. If you are in a target seat, then start to prepare leaflets, get some printed, begin delivering leaflets. No need to do that if you're not in a target seat, because some people are going to just be paper candidates. What we mean by a paper candidate is you fill in the forms and you're on the ballot paper, which is a service to the people of the place you're standing, but you won't do an awful lot of active campaigning. But we like all parties will have target seats, and we will put our energies, most of our energies, into campaigning in the target seats that we have. Obviously, I'm not going to say what they are here on a public video, but if you are a candidate, if you're in the Heritage Party, you are more familiar with our strategy for that. Now, come on to the main bit here, completing your nomination forms. You can download a pack of the nomination forms from the Electoral Commission, or you can get them from your local election office in your district or borough. And there will be 7 forms that you have to fill in, and this is what they are. And I will just go on to look at them now, I've explained all this before, that you need two nominators, a witness, and a DNO to help you to fill in the seven forms. But here they are. And the first one is called the nomination paper. And what I've done here is I've filled out a sample of to show you what it would look like if it was filled out for a hypothetical person who doesn't exist, called John Edward Smith, who lives in a hypothetical address in Chichester, which doesn't exist as well. So this is not a real person, and the address here is not a real address. The phone number is not a real phone number, but this is just to show you how you would fill it out if you were standing in, or for West Sussex County Council, in the division. For county councils, it's a division. For boroughs and districts, it's a ward. But if you were standing in Chichester South Division of West Sussex County Council on the 1st of May 2025, which is the date of the elections, the scheduled elections this year, this is how you would fill out the forms. So, yeah, and a lot of them, as you'll see, quite similar information needs to be put in, all the different forms with some differences. So, yeah, you see division, your county or district there, your date there, your surname here, your forenames, all of your forenames in full there. Normally, you would leave these two boxes blank. This is if you want a different name to appear on the ballot paper. So for example, say your names are John Edward, but you're commonly known as Ted, for example. Then you might write Ted in here, commonly used forenames, if that's how you're known. You wouldn't if you're not known like that, then don't write anything in. And you don't need to. You can just leave your real names there, and this is what appears on the ballot paper. This is usually used by joke candidates, monster raving loony party. Real names are quite boring. Like Keith Brown or something, and they call themselves Raving Lord duck or something. They put that in there. But you don't need to do that. I would advise you just to put your actual names here in the first two boxes and leave these boxes blank. Now, in this box here, where it says description, you write Heritage Party. And that's the best thing to do. There is an alternative, which you can use sometimes, which is to use what's called an authorized description. Now, the Heritage Party has 12 authorized descriptions, and you can see them on the website of the Electoral Commission, where our official registration is there, public, with all the other political parties in the country. I'm just going to scroll down a bit here because these are the 12 descriptions. So you can write one of these. I would advise you not to do it, but if you really want to, you could write, instead of Heritage Party, you could write Heritage Party Traditional Family Values, or Heritage Party Keep Our Countryside Green. Now, that might be a good one to write in if there is a threat to the countryside with development or with solar panels or with wind farms. Writing Heritage Party Keep Our Countryside Green may be a good thing to put in there, because it may get you more votes, because if that is the number one local issue, then it's that might enhance your vote share by saying this is what we really stand for. Another one, Heritage Party Make Britain Safe Again. So if you're in an area where there's high crime, that might be a good thing to put in. Instead of just Heritage Party, you could write Heritage Party Make Britain Safe Again, or any of the other things. Freedom, Family, Nation, that's our strap line. Scrap HS2, Make Britain Great Again. You can use any of them instead. But most people will just write Heritage Party there. And that's, the easiest and simplest thing to do for yourself, and also for the voters who are going to get the ballot paper in there. You need two nominators, a proposer and a seconder. They need to live in the ward or division you're standing in, so the smaller area. So in this case, Chichester South, you need to find two people who live there and are on the electoral roll of the March edition of the electoral roll or electoral register. The one that is most recently published before the nomination period. So obviously, for the elections on the 1st of May, the nomination period is going to be in the last 2 weeks of March. So the most recently published electoral roll before the nomination period will be the one published on the 1st of March. They get published on the first day of every month and updated and amended because people obviously move in and move out of the areas all the time. So you need the March copy of the electoral roll, which won't be available until March, actually. You can get the signatures if you know that they're going to be living there still in March and in May on the election day, and you can get them to sign it. They must be on the electoral roll, and they also must not sign for any other candidate. You've got to make sure that they're only signed for you, because if they sign for another candidate and they hand their papers in before you, your papers will be invalid and you'll have to go and get two more signatures. And you won't have to do all the others, but you'll have to get these signatures done again. If, say, for example, Dean Smith has also signed for another party, you hand it in. The officer in the election office will just say, "Sorry, he signed for someone else. This form, this 1A form is invalid. You need to go and find a second signatory. You have to go out and do it all again." So make sure they don't sign for anyone else, just you. But there's enough people in each ward or division by far to sign for all the candidates. Usually there's 5 or 6 candidates in each ward these days, because more people seem to be getting involved in politics as time goes on. Now, the electoral numbers are the on the electoral roll. These are not postcodes. So if you give these to someone to sign and print their name, make sure they don't put the postcode in here. That's happened so many times, and then you have to get them to do it again or cross it out, and it's all messy. So these are the electoral numbers on the electoral roll. They're not postcodes, so just bear that in mind. So that's the first form. It's fairly simple. The second form is a home address form. Again, this is fairly simple. The top of the form is exactly the same. Your division, Chichester South, for this hypothetical person, West Sussex, 1st of May 2025, the name of the candidate in full, the home address. Again, as this is a made-up address, but whatever your home address is, you put that on the form. Now, this bit is a little bit more tricky to explain. You have to meet one or at least one of 4 different qualifying conditions to be able to stand in a local election. You have to either be registered on the electoral roll in the area that you're standing for. So this is the larger area. So in this case, for West Sussex, or Devon, or Thurrock, or Doncaster, or Northumberland, you have to be on the electoral roll for the council area, the larger council area that you're standing for. Or you have to have been a tenant or an owner of a place in the larger area, West Sussex in this case, or you need to have worked in that area, or you need to have resided in that area. Now, the thing is, most people will meet conditions A, B, and D if you've lived in the area for 12 months before the nomination period, and you also are going to live there on the election day as well. So these criteria have to be true both when you hand your papers in and on the election day in the 1st of May. Some people say to me, well, what if I'm going to move in April between the nomination forms and the election? Well, sadly, in that case, if you're moving outside of the area to a different county, then you can't stand because these have to be true uh, on the both those days. But if you're moving within the area that you're standing in, you're just moving across town, for example, then there's no problem. But you just put down the address where when you hand your nomination papers in, but you will meet the criteria. But that only applies to a small number of people. But yeah, sadly, if you are moving out of the area between the nomination papers being handed in And when the election happens, you can't stand because your nomination will be invalid on the election day. But normally people aren't going to move in that period. People who stand have lived there for at least 12 months. And so um, A, B, and C, A, B, and D, all three of these criteria are true. If you've moved into the area within a year of the nomination papers being handed in, so say you've only moved in December or January and you're handing your papers in March and then the elections in May, you must be on the electoral roll. So in that case, you would only meet criteria A and not B and D. So you wouldn't fill that in. If you've moved in within 12 months, then you just tick criteria A. You need to make sure you're on the electoral roll and put the address. Um, some people also meet criteria C, and they work in the area, the council area where they're going to stand for, in which case you can tick that as well. So, you might, if you live in Chichester, if you work in Chichester or Horsham or Worthing, or another place in West Sussex, you can tick that because you've worked there for at least 12 months. And put the address of your workplace in there as well, as long as it's a place where you go regularly to work. Like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It's not just a mail address or something. You don't put that down. It's got to be a proper um, physical address that you go to regularly. 200 times a year or something. So that's it. So that's a little bit tricky because if you might not have come across that before, but and you don't get this on the Westminster forms for standing in the general election, but in the local elections, you have to show that you're actually got a connection to the local area, the local council area that you're standing in. Now here, you need a witness. The witness doesn't sign on this form. I don't know why they put this in two different places, but later on, there's a place for a witness to witness your signature in the next form. Whoever witnesses your signature, you have to write their name and their address in here. Now, the witness can be one of these people who's nominated you. That's absolutely fine. The witness can be anybody. They don't need to live in the area. They can, just be someone who's over the age of 18 and can vouch for you that they've seen you sign it. So I would recommend, however, that this is someone who's in the area, who's someone on the electoral roll who's over 18 and has British citizenship. I'd recommend that you find someone like that to sign your form so that there's no problems. So there you go. Now, this bit is important for candidates because if you normally, sorry, let's go back to the first form. No, sorry, let's go back to the address form. You've written your name and address here. Now, your name will appear on the ballot paper. Your address will also appear on the ballot paper unless you fill in this form. So if you don't want your address to be on the ballot paper so everyone can see it on the ballot paper, you need to fill in this form here to say, I require my home address not to be made public. And to do that, you just put in the name of your district or county if the county is not split into districts. So West Sussex, for example, is split into lots of different districts: Chichester, Arran, Worthing, Horsham, etc. You put the district you live in. If you're in a county like Cornwall or Buckinghamshire or Shropshire that isn't split into districts, then you put Cornwall or Buckinghamshire or Shropshire there. But most counties, the 21 counties that are still split into districts, Essex, Suffolk, Lancashire, etc., then you put the district there, and then your address won't be made public. Then you sign it with your name, whatever your normal signature is, and then put the date there. Now, this is the form where the witness is needed. Again, you write the name, the date of the election, your name, the wards, or division, the county council area, or district or borough there at the top. Then you sign it here. So when you sign it, the witness whose name and address you put in the previous form should be with you to watch you sign it and date it, and then they will write their name and they will sign it to say they've witnessed your signature. And the only other thing is here, you put your date of birth in as well. Remember to put your real year rather than 2025. And that's a mistake some people make. They write the current year, but put in the year you were born. Again, this is just made up. So I put the 1st of January 1960. But yeah, whatever your date of birth is, you put that there. So those are the first four forms, which is like the first half. And then the other forms are more to do with standing as a Heritage Party candidate. So you need someone from the Heritage Party to sign this form, which is called the Certificate of Authorization, which authorizes you to be a Heritage Party candidate rather than just an independent candidate. So again, you've got the division or the ward, the date, your name, Heritage Party here, Heritage Party here. But this is whatever description you used in the first form, that goes in this box. So normally this will be Heritage Party. But if you wrote in the first form, Heritage Party, keep our countryside green, then that's what you write here again. The description in this form must match the description in the first form, the first one of the nomination forms that you wrote in. Now, this is where a Heritage Party person will sign for you. Now, our national nominating officer is Craig Morton. He can sign and write his name in there, but it's unlikely that he will do that because what all parties do, and including the Heritage Party, is that we have, as well as one national nominating officer, we have lots of deputy nominating officers, with nearly one for every county. So you will be in touch with your deputy nominating officer. Normally, they're saying the same as the county coordinators. And so normally here, this won't be signed by Craig. It'll be signed by your local DNO, so Sean or Bianca or Guy, other people, or myself or Madeline, we can sign for the whole country. So and then they will write their name in as well, and they'll date it. So yeah, uh, that's the third. So that's the fourth and the final person you need to help you complete the forms. You need a proposer, a seconder, the two nominators, as I said, the witness, and the DNO, the deputy nominating officer. And then you can stand for the Heritage Party. Now, a deputy nominating officer will have a form that looks like this, that comes from Craig to myself and the other people around the country, and they should give you a copy of this, not their original, but they can give you a copy of this, and you hand in the copy of their DNO form with your papers, and this is then the council. This proves to the council that the person who has signed this form is your deputy nominating officer and is actually authorized by the party to sign your form. Okay, so that's sort of what we do there. Now, request for a party emblem. Now, you would want to fill this form in because you want this emblem to appear on the ballot paper along with your name and Heritage Party, so that people can see, they look down, they see all the symbols. There's a column of all the party symbols. So you want this to be on the ballot paper. So this form here, request for a party emblem, says to the election office to print our Heritage Party emblem, our symbol, on the ballot paper. So again, you fill in the division, your name, the date of the election. What you write in here is emblem ID 8153, which is the registration number of the emblem on the Electoral Commission's website. Then you sign it and date it. And yeah, see that I've just copied and pasted this off the Electoral Commission's website. So you see emblem 2, emblem ID 8153. That's all you have to write in this form. Now, notification of an election agent. Well, technically, you don't need to fill in this form but it's good practice to do it. Let me say that again. You don't need to fill in this form if you are your own election agent. So every candidate must have an election agent, normally for a small campaign where you are not spending any money, or you are doing the spending, and you are requisitioning the leaflets yourself. Then you will be your own election agent. If you're running a large campaign where you have a campaign manager who is doing all kinds of spending and organizing for you, they will be your election agent, your campaign manager. But if you don't have a campaign manager who's not spending the money for you, you need to be your own election agent. That's what's normal. That's what normally happens. And, the only time you might have an election agent in the local elections here is if you are in a target seat and you're doing a lot of campaigning, you're getting leaflets done, you're getting posters done, you're getting billboards done, you're putting advertising in the local paper, doing all kinds of things, and you've got someone organizing where people are going and handing out leaflets and so on and paying for all of that, then they will be your election agent. But normally you'll be your own election agent. So to fill this form in again, you put your divisional ward, the date of the election, your name again, your address. Now, what is in here will be semi-public because it will be on the website of the um, council that looks after your elections. So the agent's office address will be published. So if you don't want your own address to be there, you can put an office address in there, or a mailbox address, or something else, as long as you can as long as it's somewhere where the mail is delivered and you can pick it up regularly. Because the point of this is that, the agent's office address will be the place where, if someone writes to you about any legal matters or anything to do with the election, you'll be able to pick up the mail. So this has got to be somewhere where you can pick up the mail regularly. Um, and it can be a mailbox, can be an office address, can be a business address, as well as your home address. So that can be done there. But if you don't have one of those, you've got to put your home address in. And as I said, that will be semi-public. But it's not going to be on all the ballot papers, and it's not going to be plastered everywhere in everyone's face. People have to go looking for it if they want to find it. And then you sign it and date it again. If you're your own agent, you sign it and date it there for the election agent's bit. If you got a different person to be your election agent, you can sign it and date it there. They can sign it and date it there. I mean, it's good. It's useful to put your phone number in there. Well, obviously, this is a made-up number: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not a real number. Don't call it. And whatever your email address is, you can put that in there, because nowadays councils, they contact you by email. They just, if they want to contact the candidates with some important bit of information, they just send an email to, all five candidates in your ward, or all, 200 or 300 candidates standing in all the wards in the a county council or local council area that you're standing for. So that's useful to do. So there you go. That's the final form of the seven for the election agent. And hopefully that has been useful. If you are a candidate or a coordinator, I will send you this. If you become a candidate between now and the nomination period, I'll send this to you when you become a candidate as well. And obviously, if you have any questions, then you can ask me. You can ask Madeline. You can ask our coordinators, your coordinators around the country, your county coordinators, and your DNOs. So thanks for listening, everybody. And if you are standing on the 1st of May, all the best to you.